I said, Julio, listen to me. I want you to listen to me. He said, I'm listening, Coach. I said, you're going to fall asleep. You're not going to feel a thing. You will go to sleep, and it'll be like a second, and you'll wake up again. I don't care if it's a year or 10 years. It'll just be a second before the Lord comes, and he'll call you out of that grave. And when he does, he's going to give you a new body and a new mind, and you'll learn things that you can't learn now. You don't have the capacity. He says, okay, Coach. He said, I love you. Just as I was going to say, I love you too. Just as I was going to say that, the phone went dead. And I just looked at it, you know, and so I went back in, said goodbye to the governor, and I got in the car, and I had them drive me to the hotel as quick as you can. It took about 45 minutes. We get there, I get on the landline, and I call my office. And I tell them, my secretary, I said, get Julio Morales back on the phone. And she said, Mr. Moreland, the Loopy called after you talked to him, and she said that he said he was going to go to sleep. And he went to sleep, and he died. So I just want you to know your program, your community, this farming community, it's more than farming now, but this community has done so much for not just the kids that could make it on their own, but for everybody. And you took somebody from the Dead Sea right into the Sea of Life. And I want to thank you for that. And I think Loopy, yeah, his family is here. Loopy and Doreen, I believe, sister.
Could you come up and accept this award and say a few words, please? Thank you. You want to give Terry a hug, or I can give him a hug? No, probably be better if you did it.
A few words about my uncle. When we asked him if he could go back in life before passing away, he said it would be the years of wrestling. He really loved to wrestle, and he really loved his coach. And thank you.
The second one is Al Shirley, and those of you who knew Al was not a he wasn't going to win any academic scholarships, and he came out. He was a junior my first year here, weighed 325, and he was not, built like Schwarzenegger. He was heavy, but he was agile. And so, when he came out, it was obvious that he liked wrestling, but he had real loose skin. He wasn't, didn't have the effects or anything. And Eunice Disputes, I don't know, some of you may remember her as a teacher. She saw this. She was home ec teacher, and she made a jersey for him to cover all that flab up. And it was just great. You could see the difference in how he felt about being out on the mat. And he had developed, the first couple of months of wrestling, he had developed a hip throw that it was just so unique. And he kept wanting to use it, and I kept telling him, Al, don't do that, because if you fall to your back, it's hard for a heavyweight to get off your back. And so don't do that. Keep them under you, keep them in front of you, keep them under you, and spin around. And that went on for about 4 or 5 matches. And then we got into a point where he had to pin in order for us to win. And he did that so many times over the 2 years that he was there. He pinned in the final match to win the match for us. And so we had to pin. And so he locked this thing up. And I said, go ahead. And he threw this guy right on his back and pinned him. And of course, guys are jumping all over him, you know, which was great for him because he really felt like somebody, you know. He did something that was great, and he felt like he was really part of it. And he, over that year, developed into, he went to the Valley Finals, lost a very close decision in the Valley Finals. He had been Valley champion his first year. The second year, he wrestled a kid by the name of Van Worth, who eventually became a world champion in Greco-Roman wrestling in college. And they wrestled in the Valley Finals. And Al beat him in the Valley Finals by 1 point, but it was a controlled match. He controlled the whole match. And we were so happy for him, you know, because he was kind of the team then that he really helped. His record was great, but the fact is, you know, you could go anywhere in the world, and wrestle with Al Shirley. He was that good. And so, again, when I think of Delano High School and what you have done to give the opportunity and encouragement for these people who really didn't have anything other than what you were willing to give them and how they ended up is really great. So I want to thank you for that. I don't think his family is here. Is that right or not? So the next one I want to introduce is Peter Nebre. Peter Nebre, he came my second year here, and he came up to me, 103-pounder. His brother already wrestled for me, George. Now, believe it or not, George Nebre could beat Morales. He was the only one anywhere around that could beat Morales. But, you know, he was more of a student, and he was a good-looking guy, and all the girls liked him, and he just, he didn't want to do it, you know? But he was tough. And that first year, he and Pete would wrestle, and after practice, you know, I heard what Gary said about Reagan, and that's the way Peter and his brother George were. They just worked out, just double, single, carry, double, single, just over and over again, and they just loved wrestling. And so he wrestled varsity as a freshman. You know, from his freshman year, Delano lost 2 matches, and he never lost again, or was on a team that never lost again. And he won about every tournament that there was to win. And he was actually a cousin of Joe Negos, who I'm sure a lot of people know. And he was somebody that was not only qualified, you know, and developed into a really tough wrestler, but he was somebody that I could move up 2 weight classes and still win, and which helped the team so many times. But I can remember in the Valley Finals, he was wrestling Richard Molina from South High, who was defending Valley champion. They had split before. Peter beat him, he beat Peter. And in the Valley Finals, he ended up losing a real close match to Molina. Molina went on to be 3rd in the nation, Division I. That's how competitive wrestling was back there, and how competitive you kids from Delano were. You know, I can remember my first year, Scotty, and oh my goodness, this Gonzalez kid over here, man, if I could have kept him, he was one tough kid. But, and Smith beat poor Schaefer in that match, I remember that. So, but what you did and what you've done as a group and what you're doing now to encourage kids, you won't know until the second coming all that you've done for them. And, you know, parents appreciate that, and people that know what's going on really do appreciate what you're doing. But Peter Nebre was somebody that when he walked out on the mat, you knew you had better be ready to go for 6 minutes, because he was just one tough kid. And, you know, when he wrestled for Delano High School. I mean, he really felt like that his team was important and that his part was important. And so many times when we had to move him around, he would beat people that, you know, had placed in the valley in different weight classes. That's how tough he was. And so he and Linda have been really close friends with Peggy and I. And, you know, will continue to be. He was a 103 pounder, and now he's a 203 pounder. But I love the kid. And so, did your whole family stand up? Everybody that's here with you? Everybody? Thank you all for coming. And Jerry De La Rosa, I mean, he talked about something. And Jerry De La Rosa was really tough kid, and he ends up marrying Pete's sister. So. Pete, would you like to come up and get this award?
Man, Mr. Moreland, as you can tell, I'm not dieting no more. I mean, hey, man, Mr. Moreland, he kept us in check, you know. He would go there and make sure that we came to school, you know, because I grew up in the west side of Fremont School, went to Fremont School, graduated from there. And I also want to thank Mr. Collins, Stu Collins, in grammar school. He would put me out of my classroom because he had a tournament going and everything. And he would pull me out and say, hey, can I borrow Pete for a little while? The teacher would get mad. He goes, I'll bring him back in 10 minutes. Yeah, he just took me out there just to wrestle somebody and then bring me back to the classroom. But then after that, I graduated, I went to Delano High School, and I met my coach here that inspired all of us and really helped us out a lot. I mean, he would even like my grades, he'd make sure my grades were good, because back then, if you had bad grades, you couldn't wrestle. But he took me under his wing, all of us, a bunch of us there, like he was saying right now, all of us. And that's why we all love him so much, because he was there for us, you know. Yeah, but I'd like to thank my family here for being here. My sisters, my nephews, my sister Vicky, Jerry. You guys are, you know, Mario, my family from Fresno here. Yeah, they all here, all for me. Thank you. And my grandkid, my grandsons, and my nephews. But thank you very much. And I'd like to thank everyone. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I remember Mrs. Goldman? Anybody remember Mrs. Goldman? I taught history, and she would come into my room checking on me, and I had Peter Nebre with a wrestling mat, a throw mat in the back, working out, losing weight for the dual meet that night. And she came and she said, "What's going on?" I said, "The history of wrestling, right here." Pat Schaefer has never let me forget it.